So I'll be answering a few of the interview questions that you sent me today. The first was, have you ever given feedback on someone else's design, and have you ever received feedback on your own? Feedback is a very regular part of my life. I'm a person who really values integrity, truth, even if the truth hurts sometimes. And so, especially throughout my Career Foundry UX design course, receiving feedback on my own assignments from my tutor, my mentor, was very helpful, in addition to utilizing the Slack community within Career Foundry to receive feedback from other designers on my designs, which you'll see in further down in the video, actually helped me to refine my prototypes. So I love feedback. I love receiving feedback. I would also go through the Slack community and comment on other designers' files when they would post it and give my thoughts as well. How would your teammates describe you professionally? I think they would ultimately describe me as a kind person. And that might sound like a really silly answer, but I've just found that kindness actually gets you a long way in life, and that kindness and curiosity go hand in hand. And so whether it's being kind and curious about other people, their backgrounds, their stories, helping to understand them and where they come from, whether that's curiosity about the world, whatever that might be, I've just found that to be such a good quality to have, especially in the field of UX design. And so I think other professionals would describe me as that I'm always asking questions, wondering why, from a place of really wanting to discover where they've been and what's best for them. As far as a difficult project or where I overcame a challenge, I would say this one in creating the Expert app. I'm relatively new to UX design, and so there was a big learning curve in learning all the software and Figma, and so again, leaning into my community of designers for that was just so vitally important to me. Now, if I could ask you a question, I would love to know what values define your team culture and how that makes you stand out from other companies. Thank you. Hello, and thank you for your interest in my portfolio and my work. My name is Katie Payne-Jolly, the sole UX and UI designer over the course of the last year for the Expert app, which provides the user with expert advice to solve their everyday problems. I primarily used Figma as my main tool throughout this process. The Expert app originated from the problem statement that users need a way to seek out answers and advice from a variety of niches and industries because they struggle to find reliable, instant, and applicable advice from experts within a variety of fields. We will know this to be true when we see users successfully finding the advice useful and applicable and indicating via reviews that the advice they received was helpful. So from that problem statement, the Expert app was birthed because users struggled to find reliable, vetted advice on the internet in an on-demand fashion. There's nothing worse than having a flat tire with no one to call, or attempting to fix something in your own home and having to search endless minutes of YouTube videos for what is often a simple fix. Enter Expert, the app that provides vetted and certified experts from a variety of niches so that users can be assured that the advice they receive is absolutely reliable and affordable. This app allows users to connect with these experts on demand via text, image, or video chat to ensure the best possible solution to their problem, with the ability to save their chat to refer back to later. My target audience for the app were users in the age range of 20 to 40 years old who balance work, family, and life responsibilities, and who often experience either time or budgetary constraints in finding the help they need with their everyday problems. Now, for methodology, I've always had a unique set of gifts in being able to connect with people of any age or background, which makes the aspect of user research and empathizing with the user a particular strength of mine. And so to begin that user research process, I conducted a competitive analysis. I wanted to understand what was currently available to the user in the market of advice apps, and I found that most of what was available were simply online forums. So upon this discovery, I began to conduct user interviews, because for a moment I thought maybe there was a reason this advice existed almost primarily in online forums. Perhaps that's where the users were, and that was what they wanted. However, Upon conducting multiple in-depth user interviews, it actually seemed as though there was a gaping hole in the advice market that the users saw a real need for. Using the affinity mapping process to pinpoint the user's behaviors, attitudes, frustrations, needs, and goals, as well as establishing their background, proved very valuable in beginning to bring the Expert Advice app to life. I was able to empathize with the users in what they both lacked and desired in the realm of real-time, hands-on advice, and so with that in mind, I created a couple of user personas to help keep the design very user-centric. Through these personas, I was able to establish 3 primary tasks for our app to fulfill. The first was the ability to add and store payment methods so that users could quickly and easily connect to an expert hassle-free. It was also apparent that having a video chat feature was vital for our users, especially if they were unfamiliar with terms or items, most often especially in the realm of home improvement as they expressed, and so the video chat feature would eliminate errors and provide reliability to the user. And finally, the ability to create and track a to-do list directly in the app was a heavy need for users. These lists were often spread across various apps in their phones, and so having all of that condensed in one place proved helpful. With all of this in mind, I moved on to the initial prototyping phase, creating some mid-fidelity prototypes of those 3 user flows. And upon the initial user testing of the app, I gained a lot of really helpful insight, especially upon condensing information into a usability test report. For example, users initially mentioned that they found the walkthrough to be wordy, boring, and the design of it to be somewhat clunky. Users seemed to enjoy the video chat function of the app, but recommended adding a way to maybe filter through the experts, even within the category, to find the help they needed even faster. The easy-to-use list feature was a big hit with the users, and they enjoyed that the layout mirrored so many other list apps that they were already familiar with. Users also tended to appreciate the muted color palette because they felt the muted colors were calming and might even help reduce stress if they're trying to find advice in maybe difficult situations. And so upon these discoveries, I set out to design a second iteration of these prototypes that would serve the user even better. During the redesign process, I updated the walkthrough to be more interactive, more visually stimulating, and a little less wordy. One way I accomplished this was by giving users an A/B preference test of the 2 different walkthrough screens to see which color template they preferred, which is how I ultimately ended up deciding on which walkthrough screen to use. The video chat prototype was also reiterated upon to include a feature to filter the experts and have the chat prices listed so the users were informed before committing to a chat. At this point, I also sought out feedback from fellow designers and received many good suggestions. I redesigned features of the app such as banners, buttons, chat bubbles, and the text colors to bring cohesion to the app overall and to comply with accessibility guidelines. One designer even pointed out that even though having a review system was in my problem statement, I hadn't actually included it in my prototype. And so upon this reiteration, that was included at the end of each chat feature as well. So after a 3rd round of usability tests, it seems as though these prototypes were much more satisfying to the users and their needs and goals, and they were pretty happy with both the flow and the aesthetics of the app. Overall, I can say I enjoyed the process of creating the Expert app. I'm always very fascinated by how crucial user feedback is, and that the assumptions that maybe we tend to make as designers to suit our needs aren't necessarily always true to what the users and other stakeholders need to reach their end goals. But throughout this whole process of iterating, user testing, reiterating, I think we ended up with a pretty functional and helpful app that I'm very proud of. So thank you for your time today. Have a great day.